Friends, you ever wonder why you're working 50 hours a week, still can't afford a basic home?
As a Canadian, it is getting so ridiculously expensive to live out here. And
my fridge is basically empty because I can't even afford fucking groceries.
So how do you personally feel about living in Canada right now and the cost of living with the economy?
Genuinely, how is anybody affording life right now in Ontario?
They've had a university degree, after they have full-time employment, and they're still having to go to a food bank.
Are you proud of being Canadian? What does it mean anymore? It feels like anyone can just come in this country and be Canadian right away.
Welcome back to the Canadian Rant. And today's video, this one's different. This one's personal. I've spent my whole life doing what we're told to do. Work hard. I did everything right. And you know where it got me? Burned out, stressed out, financially squeezed, and honestly, done. I am a Canadian, and I can't afford rent without feeling sick about it. I am a Canadian, and groceries feel like a luxury. I am a Canadian, and taking care of my health feels expensive. I am a Canadian, and I am tired. And I know I'm not alone. This isn't just my story. This is millions of Canadians right now, working full-time, doing everything society told us to do, and still barely staying afloat. Not because we're lazy, not because we made terrible choices, but because something in the system isn't working the way it's supposed to. Today, I'm done pretending everything's fine. I'm done lowering my expectations. And I'm sharing this because I know there are people watching who feel exactly the same way. If you're burnt out, stretched thin, and wondering how it got this bad, this one's for you. Let's talk about what it really feels like to be a Canadian in 2026. Let's get into it.
Are you proud of being Canadian? What does it mean anymore? It feels like anyone can just come in this country and be Canadian right away. We're giving free passes. We're opening the floodgates while our house is flooding. People come in, they get more benefits than us, they get free money, they get free this, free that, and here we're struggling, and at the same time we're sending our money to other countries like Ukraine, and we're saying, oh, we gotta help here, we gotta help there. How about we help ourselves? We fix our own house. Mass immigration, it's making all our houses go up in price. Our rents, our food, our used cars, new cars, anything is just going up in price. Inflation, inflation, inflation. We're printing money. Our hospitals are overwhelmed. Sometimes it takes 16 months to get an MRI. People can't find family doctors. And yet we're told all this is normal. Now, before anyone twists this up, my father's an immigrant. I got friends from all over the world. But now we can't talk about it properly. Some news are censored on social media. Some people judge you when you talk about something. You can't have a normal conversation without insults being flung. Who knows what's going on in Canada? Canada used to stand for something. I'm proud of what Canada used to be. You could call me an OG Canadian. What about you? What do you think about this?
Friends, you ever wonder why you're working 50 hours a week, still can't afford a basic home in your own neighborhood? It is because the politicians in Queen's Park have turned Ontario into a massive social experiment you are being forced to fund. We are told there is an immigration crisis, but the real crisis is government central planning. The government is bringing in record numbers of people without a single thought for where they will live or how our infrastructure will cope. They've socialized the cost of immigration, leaving you to pick up the tab through higher rents, longer hospital wait times, and a devalued currency. The status quo politicians just want to tweak the dials of state control. But more bureaucracy is never the answer. Libertarianism is the only sane path because it replaces government mandates with personal responsibility. We want to end the state-funded subsidies and the coercive social programs that distort our economy. If a business wants to hire someone from abroad, they should shoulder the costs, not the taxpayer. By removing the government's heavy hand from housing and labor, we restore affordability for everyone. Stop letting politicians treat your life like a math problem they can't solve. It is time for a system built on voluntary exchange and real freedom. Because when the state stops meddling, Ontario finally becomes affordable again. Let me hear your passionate thoughts in the comments below.
I just have to say, as a Canadian, I live in Manitoba, Canada. As a Canadian, it is getting so ridiculously expensive to live out here. And I'm not somewhere that's incredibly busy. I'm not somewhere that's full of people. Like, the population where I live is 10,000. Like, you know, I'm not somewhere in Toronto. I'm not in Edmonton. I'm not in Ontario, you know. That's where you'd think the prices would be skyrocketing, and I'm sure they are. But looking at Manitoba's economy right now, not trying to sound like a smart person, we are struggling. And I don't know how our generation and the younger generation is going to survive here. That's my 2 cents. I don't know. Like, the cost of gas went from, what was it, 125 to 155 overnight. I can't afford my rent, barely. I make enough. Don't get me wrong. I make enough. Barely. With the amount I make hourly, you would think I'd have money left over, but I don't. I don't have money left over after I pay my rent, my hydro, all my bills, plus groceries. There's no money left at the end of the month. I am struggling to make ends meet over here, and I can barely fill my gas tank. And it's the fact that I'm not even in really a bad financial spot. I'm really not. I mean, you know, I have my debts like any other person, but I shouldn't be so deep in the hole. Every month it's like I'm drowning, you know? There is never enough to feel like I'm ahead because the prices out here are so crazy. You have to sometimes pick, do I want gas or do I want food? You know, I'm just lucky that I live near family so I can go see them and eat there and I don't have to spend all my money on groceries. But there are weeks where you're just like, would I rather be able to get to work or do I want to eat? Obviously, it's always getting to work because you need money. It's a vicious cycle. Living in Canada has become increasingly more expensive. The cost of living these days is actually just astronomical. It's insane. I don't know what can be done about it, but I think every Canadian is feeling the same struggle that I am, especially with the gas prices rising so recently. Canada is just not all rainbows and sunshine like you'd think. It's really actually very expensive to survive here. And I'm not over here, like I'm making more than minimum wage, well over, you know, and I'm still struggling. Lots of Canadians are struggling. Like, you get to a point out here where it's like, wow, I just need to get married because I need a double income. Literally, I need a double income to survive. Yeah, you cannot be a single adult living alone out here. You can't. It's so hard. I mean, unless you're making the most well-paying job in the world, but that's just not the reality for a lot of people. So Canada is in a crisis.
We're sending large amounts of money, at least on the federal side, to places where they could be keeping it within Canada.
So how do you personally feel about living in Canada right now and the cost of living with the economy?
Well, everything's going up. Grocery costs, even in my business, snow removal, salt, it's really high right now. So it's getting tougher and tougher.
Do you think the government is spending the money in the right places or in the wrong places?
I don't know. I hear things that they could be doing some things differently. I think that there's definitely sometimes when we're sending large amounts of money, at least on the federal side, to places where they could be keeping it within Canada.
So our mission is pretty much, we're trying to bring the money back to the small businesses. So as someone who runs a business, what are challenges you feel as being a business owner?
I feel like it's really hard to get something going these days. It's almost like tougher and tougher to keep your own business going just because it's either like big corps or that's it.
Listen, we're going to try and continue to do as many things as we can to spread awareness and try to get as many Canadians who are just fed up, who own small businesses, who are just everyday people, and try to get away from supporting the big box stores and get back to supporting small businesses like yourself or like ours. So if you guys want to join in on conversations, put a comment down below or join the economic charter by signing up with the link in our bio.
Am I the only one that's just ready to give up? Oh look, my fridge is basically empty because I can't even afford fucking groceries. You got all these people in the world barely scraping by because they're paying however much money on rent, whatever ridiculous price it is, or they're paying so much for their mortgage, and then they gotta go to the grocery store and spend $300 on 1 week of groceries. I'm actually curious, how are you surviving? Like, I'm actually, like this is a serious question. How are you okay? Because there's a lot of people out there that work a minimum wage job that pay way too much on rent, that pay way too much on groceries, and they're still making it through. It's nice to know that I'm not the only one struggling. Hi, yeah, I give half my paycheck to the government, and then the other half goes to rent, and I don't even have enough money for food. I want to kill myself. Damn, that sucks, bro. Maybe you should get a better paying job? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Get over here. Pheasant. Believe it or not, not everyone wants to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for some higher up that doesn't give a shit about them and just sees them as a number. It doesn't even have to be 12 hours, 7 days a week. You can work a 9 to 5 and no one gives a shit about you, dude. I get paid minimum wage to do some fuck all job where I'm treated like a piece of shit every single day, either by the higher ups or by the random public that come in because you're working either in the service industry or in retail and some mofo ass rat son of a gun, whatever you want to call it, just decides to be a prick that day. I do not get paid minimum wage to deal with your home life problems. Sorry, Deborah, it's not my fault that Floyd cheated on you with the 19-year-old college girl. Stop fucking yelling at me while I'm just trying to do my job. $15 an hour to get yelled at because prices are too high? You think I make that shit up? You think I choose the prices? No, it's some bigwig asshole that doesn't give a shit about you or me. Because you are one in millions of people that come to the store or the restaurant or whatever, and they don't care about the fact that you're not going to be there to spend $30 on shampoo. Stop thinking that you're the main character, because none of us are. Maybe you should go to school and get a higher paying job. I bought my first house when I was 17 back in 1952. You just need to learn how to manage your money properly. I got to say this for the first time the other day, and I loved it. Shut the fuck up, boomer. Oh, that felt good. That felt good. Like, I have grandparents. I love my grandparents, and they're in the boomer stage. But anyone besides my grandparents is a boomer. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I can't wait for you to die. That way I can eventually take over your house. Keel over and die already. You're 104. This video's kind of all over the place right now, and I like that because it's chaotic, just like the world that we live in right now.
Genuinely, how is anybody affording life right now in Ontario? Like, I've always known that I wanted to leave Canada at some point, but these days it's more and more brain fart, sorry. These days it's just more and more on my brain every single day that I wake up. I'm just really hating it here. The weather is shit. We barely see the sun, and when it does come out, it's still not warm. We get hot weather for 3 months out of the year. If we're lucky, 4.5 or 3.5. Groceries are the cost of your mortgage or your rent. Mortgage and rent are extremely high. Then you have to pay for car insurance. And then you have to pay for a car payment if you don't own your vehicle. Then you got to pay expensive ass utilities. And people say, oh, well, you have free healthcare. But realistically, I would rather pay for freaking healthcare at this point because nobody has a family doctor here. And when you do go see the doctor, you're in the waiting room for about 2 hours waiting for the damn doctor. Education is free, but it's shit. The education in North America is so bad. And now the government is taking away the money that they were giving people to help them to go to post-secondary. So it's like, what do we really have going on here for anybody to want to live here? I just don't get it. Coming to live in Canada is like signing up for depression for the rest of your life and signing up to work to die.
And I think that disconnect in those economic numbers are really important because you have regular Canadians who see GDP growth, booming stock prices, politicians talking about how well things are going. Meanwhile, they're struggling to make rent or buy groceries. What does that do to them psychologically?
Yeah. And often after they've had a university degree, after they have full-time employment and they're still having to go to a food bank, What it does is it creates this massive credibility gap. People feel gaslit, and rightly so. They're being told the economy is fine, but their lived experience is entirely different.
Is this the end of Canada? I'm joined here by a Canadian who is going to reveal some hard facts about the current situation in Canada. We're going to be talking about the cost of living, healthcare, and many other topics. Thank you so much for coming, Charles. I appreciate it.
No problem at all.
Thank you so much. Right out of the gate, tell me, what was the number one reason that led to your decision to depart Canada?
I've actually been looking to leave for quite some time. Primary reason is I'm not necessarily fond of the government. So I saw things going in a direction I didn't really like. I'm getting bombarded by news that I know it's not what I want to see come out of Canada. So yeah, that's the primary reason. Secondary being the tax situation. They're continually, instead of trying to grow their GDP, what they're trying to do is take more money from the residents via taxation so that they can do what they want with the money and spend it in areas that doesn't benefit us at all. So these are the major reasons, and they're increasing, like the capital gains tax. That increased 2025 to 65%, something insane like this, and that impacts me directly. So that's another major reason. And yeah, that's pretty much the primary reason, is that I don't like the direction it's going and the overtaxation.
Right. Now, let's focus a little bit on the cost of living in Canada. It's usually the number one reason why our audience decides to relocate to a foreign country. They just can't afford a good life anymore back home. How important was this in your decision-making process, where you would say, you know what, the cost of living actually contributed a lot to my decision for leaving Canada?
Yeah, so I mean, it's something that it's been going on for not just under the Carney government, but from Trudeau. We've been seeing the cost of goods increase considerably, and some people know that the Canadian some of the Canadian food suppliers have essentially a monopoly on the products that we're seeing in the grocery stores, and control the pricing and put it to a point where it doesn't make sense for your average Canadian to be purchasing them. I mean, I'm in a situation where, you know, I like to eat meat. I like my beef. I like, my pork, and everything has grown well beyond the rate of inflation. So it doesn't make any sense. If they're saying 2% rate of inflation, why is the cost of meat going up 30, 40, 50%? And I was just mentioning it to you earlier. And I'm checking prices at home, checking what they are here, because I can't wrap my head around it. I'll pay $36 a kilo here for Black Angus prime meat, and I'm paying the exact same meat at home is $140 per kilo, $130, $120 to $40 per kilo, which is it's insane. And that beef is coming out of Canada. Doesn't make any sense to me. So
check this out. So even if it's still 73 grand, and even if it's still 85 grand in Toronto, remember, our housing is half as cheap. What's the most expensive thing you're ever going to buy? Your house. Right? So our cost of living is way lower than Toronto, right? So, and to all the haters, please understand that we live right next to Detroit. We have more amenities than any Canadians in Canada. You can't compete. I love Toronto, but you can't compete with the amenities that Detroit has. So quality of life down here is spectacular if you're looking to move where your investments are. We've had many clients do that as they've gotten used to Windsor.
Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. We were told that if we worked hard in Canada, we'd be okay. Not rich, not spoiled, just okay. A stable place to live, affordable groceries, access to healthcare, some breathing room. That was the deal. And right now, for a lot of people, that deal feels broken. When full-time work doesn't cover basic living. When rent eats half or more of your income. When groceries feel like a math equation instead of a necessity. When you're exhausted, not because you're lazy, but because you're constantly trying to survive. That's not a personal failure. That's a systemic problem. And the most dangerous thing isn't that it's happening. It's that we're starting to normalize it. We joke about being broke. We meme about grocery prices. We say, that's just Canada now. But deep down, we know something isn't right. This country is filled with hardworking, responsible people. People who show up. People who pay taxes, people who follow the rules. If those people can't get ahead, or at least stay stable, then something needs to be questioned. And here's what I refuse to accept: that this is just how it is now, that we should lower our standards, that burnout is normal, that struggling quietly is patriotic. No, wanting stability isn't entitlement. Wanting affordability isn't greed. Wanting a fair shot isn't unrealistic. It's basic. So if you're watching this and thinking, yeah, I feel this, you're not crazy, you're not weak, and you're definitely not alone. Drop a comment. Tell me your story. Are you feeling squeezed, burnt out, fed up? Because the more we speak honestly about this, the harder it becomes to ignore. And if you want more real conversations about what life actually feels like in Canada right now, subscribe to Canadian Rant. We're not here to sugarcoat. We're not here to pretend. We're here to talk about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.